Tons of history between the Redbirds and Salukis, and this rivalry continues tomorrow night. It will be the 85th meeting between the Redbirds and the Dogs. And the Salukis, they've won 8 in a row against in-state teams as that streak gets put on the line tomorrow night. Here with your Saluki radio crew, alongside the coach Pat Poore, Mike Trude, I am Luke Martin. Mike, you look at this Redbird team, and we'll start with them defensively. You look at Brock Spack historically. He's a former Big Ten defensive coordinator. He's a defensive guy, and that's really where Illinois State, they have been known for through the years, is having physical defenses.
Yeah, they like to get after you from the get-go. They don't want you to run the ball very effectively at all. They like to press you in the pass. They like to create turnovers. It's a team, though, this year with their top linebacker, Amir Abdullah, who may be able to come back in a week or two, probably not for this ball game, but they miss him in the middle. He's a phenomenal linebacker, preseason first-team all-conference, but they still are tough to run against.
These are two teams that are without their key linebacker, Colin Bohannon, of course, for Southern Illinois, and Amir Abdullah, as Mike True just described. They have 3 guys in their secondary, Coach Poore, that have played in 37 or more games. They're really experienced on the back end of their defense, and it seems like it really starts with Keandre Jackson, number 3. He is a physical presence, and he moves throughout that defense, multiple different layers.
You guys alluded to it, Brock Spack, how they're built defensively and fundamentally really sound in the back end. Those guys are good players, and that, his thumbprint has always been, at least in games against us, that you're going to have to earn it, and the physicality part of going against those defenses is a huge thing.
When you look at Illinois State's offense, what made them successful a year ago, they led the Valley, and they were 3rd in the country in sacks allowed. They didn't allow a lot of pressure. Zambrano getting hurt has really hurt that group up front. They've allowed, I believe, 12 sacks already this season, Mike Trude. Salukis haven't been able to get pressure, but they're going to have to if they want to be successful in this game on Saturday.
Yeah, and Illinois State still has a big offensive line. They're over 300 pounds average on that offensive line, but the Salukis have to find a way to create pressure, whether it's up the middle, whether it's from the outside, whether it's from your 3 or 4, depending on how they play, to get some pressure into the backfield and make it a little bit tougher for the quarterback. They need to get him uncomfortable, which he's pretty good at anyway, but Southern needs to reestablish that pressure on quarterbacks.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, let's talk about the quarterbacks for Illinois State. It is a 2-quarterback system, but Rittenhouse is the main guy who will get the majority of the snaps. Coach Poore, how are they utilizing both of their quarterbacks and the strength of both?
The thing you notice about Rittenhouse is he will hang in there and hold the ball. They're a big run first, play action pass, deep shots, and we, like Mike said, we've got to get him off schedule, not in a rhythm. Like I said, because he does a good job of hanging in there and letting those routes develop and taking shots down the field. And that's something defensively that we've got to eliminate, is those shot plays, those explosives in these games that are going to be super competitive, and you're trying to get in the fourth quarter and win a game late.
Last time Illinois State made the playoffs, they had a running back by the name of James Robinson, who was one of all-time greats. When they've been good offensively, they've been able to run the football. Unfortunately for the Redbirds, the last 2 years in their bye games, they've lost a running back for the year. This year being Mason King. But don't let that distract you. Winkers Wright is more than capable of being a guy that can run the football. And, of course, that's been an issue of concern for the Saluki defense recently in stopping the run.
Without question, had they had Mason King available, they would have 2 outstanding running backs. Winkers Wright would be starting on a lot of teams, and he is starting for Illinois State now because of that injury, but he's got the speed to get to the outside. He can get up the middle. He can pound you a little bit. He's got the speed, though, and again, the Saluki defense has struggled mightily the last 2.5 games of stopping that run. It didn't matter if they were going outside or inside, so Winkers Wright is a guy that Southern's going to have to key on in this game.
Both these teams are coming off of games that got away from a week ago. Illinois State at home against North Dakota State, obviously Southern Illinois against South Dakota. Let's look at it just from a Saluki perspective, Coach Poore. How much of that focus really this week? We talked a lot about the opponent. It's really about the Salukis trying to find a way to get right internally.
Great point. At this point, you really have to look in the mirror and go, how do we fix things? What have we done? And it really kind of comes down to me watching us play against good run teams, teams with good backs. It's not so much that it's been poor tackling, but it's the after contact. Good backs are going to get those extra yards, and then over time in a game, those lead to those explosive, those breakout long runs. And I think some of that goes back to we've just got to be better at kind of that backside chase player, just straining a little bit more, and safeties just getting to those fits a little bit quicker. And that's going to be a huge thing on Saturday, is stopping that run game, because that sets everything up for you defensively to then be able to call the game however it's going.
Hunter Simmons is not new to the program. He's been known for years, but last week was just the second start, right, Trude? We saw DJ Williams this year, the third start against Incarnate Word. It was really clicking for DJ. You could see the comfortability level. Now for Hunter, you hope to see that growth after now 2 starts, 1 on the road, see his development continue, which is still relatively young in his playing career.
Yeah, absolutely. And to complement Hunter's game, the Salukis need to run the football. Hunter can't be asked to drop back and throw the ball 45 times again. I mean, can he do it? Yes, he's shown the last couple of games that he'll spin the ball as many times as you want to spin it, but for the offense to be a really efficient offense, the Salukis are going to have a good run, a solid running game, not a great running game. They need a solid running game to set up the pass and not just know that Hunter's going to be getting passing the ball on 3 out of the 4 downs. So he can spin it with anybody in the league. He's shown that the last 2 games. I think he got a lot more comfortable in the second half, actually, against South Dakota a week ago. So we'll see if that continues to go, but it would really benefit Hunter's total game if he can turn around, hand that ball off, and see 3, 4, 5 yards at a clip.
Well, we all talk about how each game is important in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, but I think both teams would agree it is massively important for both tomorrow night, which means you need to get here to Saluki Stadium. We hope you join us for the game tomorrow night. It's going to be a 6 o'clock kick here at Saluki Stadium. We've been used to those nighttime kicks here under the lights this fall. Our pregame coverage on Saluki Radio will begin at 5 o'clock. For my partners, Pat Poore, Mike Trude, I am Luke Martin. We will talk to you tomorrow night, Saluki Nation. Go Dogs.